Good afternoon and welcome to another session of What's Buzzing at Georgia Tech. I'm Lacey Whedon, the Director of Parent Family Programs at Georgia Tech. And today we are joined by Dean Stein and his Tech Talks. And we also have Carrie White with us from University Housing, who is going to answer any questions that families may have. And she's going to give you kind of an update on where we are with housing for next year. So I will send Carrie here. There you go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie White. I'm the Director of Operations and Strategic Alliances for Housing and Residence Life. So I want to give a quick update and then answer any questions you might have about housing for current residents for next year. So we are currently on a wait list for returning students, and students who are not on the wait list will begin self-assigning on next Monday. And so we'll have students will start receiving their emails that tell what time they're supposed to log in and select their housing. And then they'll be able to do that. It usually takes us about 10 to 12, sometimes 14 days to get through everybody. And then at that point, students will be able to go through room swap, and we'll start aggressively working on the wait list as students continue to cancel and make changes. On March 27th, students who are still on the wait list, who have a priority reason that they really need to be on campus, financial needs, scholarship that requires on-campus housing, that sort of thing, they'll be able to fill out a form to be considered for priority waitlist consideration. And we'll, it's still space is available, but we will look at those students to see if they meet that criteria. We'll also be hosting an off-campus housing fair on March 14th from 11 to 1, I believe it's either 11 to 1 or 11 to 2 at Tech Walkway, and we'll have property managers and representatives from properties all around Georgia Tech. And you can also visit our off-campus housing website. It's offcampus.housing.govtech.edu, and that has properties that we're partnered with that are around very close to campus, where students can, find out more about what off-campus options are available to them. So if there are questions about that or something else about housing, I'd be happy to answer those now. See one.
Yeah. So I just published the website in case somebody wanted to have that. So there's the website I've just posted, but this is, folks, if you have a question, it's a good time to just type it in the chat so Carrie can answer any questions that you have, or maybe you've heard, or maybe your student has questions about. And we may not have any, but we wanted to make sure we were addressing any concerns that we were hearing from families.
Absolutely.
So let me just, can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so great. Let me just ask a question. So for the families that are on, so if I'm the student and I'm on a wait list, or lo and behold, I forgot to even apply for housing. Okay, because we know there are some students that's the case. Who should I talk to? Where should I go first to have the conversation to get the information that I need?
Sure. So our website, we have a frequently asked questions for waitlisted students specifically. And of course, our site has many knowledge articles in the housing help desk where students can, look at the application process, the timeline, all the information they need about when to apply, what it looks like on the wait list now. And if students are on the wait list, they can monitor their wait list by going back to the last page of their housing application. So they log back into My Housing, and as their number moves, it's real time, and so it will change as they get closer and closer to the top of the wait list. And so that number will change, and they can monitor it there. And I would say, that students really should be considering what are my backup plans? Like, I don't think it's time for anybody to panic right now, but I definitely think we should, they should be exploring what their options are if they were not to get on-campus housing. We had a really significant increase in the number of rising second years, so our current first-year students who live on campus who chose to live with us next year. And so that has really increased this year as opposed to what we've seen in the past. And really increased our wait list this year. And so I think it's important for families to start having those conversations and even thinking about when it is appropriate and time for them to, move off campus. And we have so many properties nearby now, and we really are making a concerted effort to partner with those properties and engage with them and, hold them to have some accountability to Georgia Tech and students. So really, it's about, utilizing the application and their waitlist number, and then the website has all of the frequently asked questions. And if they still have questions, then they should submit a ticket through the housing help desk or give us a call, and that will submit a ticket, and then we'll get them to the right person, depending on their unique situation.
Right.
Great, thank you, Carrie. I don't see any questions in the chat, so for families, definitely reach out to housing if your student has questions and check out those frequently asked questions. And I know Carrie has somewhere to go, so we are going to say thank you for joining us and have a great day.
Right,
thanks, Carrie.
Yep, thank you.
All right.
All right, well, good afternoon from my office at Georgia Tech. I'm happy to spend some time with you and talk a little bit about where we are and kind of where we're heading and stuff. I always begin by just trying to give you a sense of, a real time, kind of what's going on with your students and what's going on at the Institute. So if you can go to the next slide. So we are in week 7. We're smack in the middle of spring semester. Okay, this is week 7, and we have 2 more weeks to go before spring break. Okay, well, I think I always want to say spring term is very different than the fall semester. Fall semester, students have these mini breaks, whether it's fall break or Thanksgiving, where they go for a few weeks and then they have a break and then they go for a few weeks. It's very different in spring semester. We come back, we're in session for about a week. We have 1 day off, which is the Martin Luther King Celebration Day. And then we're in it for the long run, which is basically almost a 9-week stretch to get to spring break. And as we're in week 7, we're 2 away from break. And what I can tell you is right around this time, that everyone really starts getting exhausted and ready to have a break. Faculty, students, everyone. And so if you're hearing that message from your students, it's probably true. And this is also the time at this point in the semester when lots of exams are being given. We're in the midway point, so courses that have midterms would be happening this week and next week. Others that have, 3 or 4 exams for the semester, they're probably entering their 2nd or 3rd exam. So, it is a very busy time. It's also a time where, I want to say that there's a lot of potential anxiety going on. One example is housing, okay? If you didn't end up with a room, if you're on a wait list, that's anxiety provoking, that you need to just keep going back and checking, okay? That alone can get a student pretty anxious, okay? Very, very soon, we will move to course selection for summer and fall, if they're going to take summer school, otherwise for fall term. And that also produces some anxiety in terms of getting the classes that you want, ending up on waiting lists for the classes. So there is some of that naturally plays out, and depending on how your student is faring with that, you'll kind of pick up on some anxiety in terms of trying to stay on top of all of it. I do want to say it's very, very important that they stay on top of all of this because they don't want to miss deadlines and stuff. When we come back from break, we have 5 weeks until the end of the semester, until the last day of classes, and then we move into reading days and final exams. Okay, so it's a quick sprint to the end and a very, very busy time after break. As we move into March, a very important date is March 15th, which is our withdrawal deadline. Okay, so that's when students can make a decision to withdraw from up until that date and withdraw from individual classes or for the whole semester if for some reason they need to do that. Very important date. After that date, they really are locked into that class and into all their classes. So anyone is thinking about withdrawing, they should begin to have conversations with their professor and with their academic advisor, and also with financial aid to understand what withdrawing from the class might mean for financial aid. And if they're an international student and it's going to take them below full-time status, they need to have conversations with the Office of International Education. Okay. The other thing is our grade substitution deadline is that day 2, and that would be if they're retaking a class over again and they want to do a grade substitution, they must get the form in by that day. Okay. All of this is on the registrar's website. It's clearly spelled out, but the 15th is the date that everyone should be marking on the calendar. Okay. I noted spring break. We come back. The final instruction days are the 24th and 25th of April, and then we move into final exams and reading days with the semester ending on May 4th and commencement. And then May 9th is when spring grades will be available to students. And for those graduating, the degree certification for spring candidates would be on May 11th as they try to just get everything in place to officially certify the student. At this point in the semester, it is a very good time to check in, okay, with your student. And the way that I'm going to suggest that you check in is to just say, how are you doing? All right, what's going on? And, you know, not get into specific grades or anything like that, but more of a general checking in. Are you taking care of yourself? I mean, these are the kinds of conversations that we want to have, okay? You know, please know what their spring break plan is. Are they coming home? Are they going traveling? Whatever they're doing, it would be very, very important to know what the, you know, their spring break is so that you have a sense of that. If they come home, what I'll say is that, you know, be ready for them probably wanting to just rest, sleep for a while. You know, they'll probably be tired and they'll want to just hang out and rest and get some good meals and stuff. So if they're going off with friends to other places, to the beach, wherever, please have conversations around safety and kind of just basic tips in terms of, you know, taking care of themselves wherever they are. And, you know, and we just pray that every spring break, everybody comes back and they're safe and everything is okay. So the next thing I think that kind of may produce some anxiety for some students is summer. And that is, what are my plans for summer? Will I be interning? Will I be studying abroad? Will I be getting a job? You know, what am I doing? And again, I think, you know, it's an interesting time because spring semester, right around this time, students live in 2 worlds. They live in the world that they're in terms of the semester we're in, but they're also living in the future. And that is because of the housing situation and choosing housing for next year. It's because of course registration, either summer or fall. It's trying to figure out my summer plan. These are the things that kind of force them to navigate both spaces at the same time. Okay, and some students are much more successful and agile in navigating those 2 spaces simultaneously, and some really struggle with it. And so you know your student, And what I would say is think that through and, maybe have that conversation to see how they're doing and what you might do to assist them in thinking something through between now and the end of the term. There's been a lot going on here on campus. It's been a very, very full, very active semester. We do really feel like we are back into a time before the pandemic with the level of activity on campus, the level of energy on campus, the level of student engagement on campus. It's been a very involved semester with a tremendous number of activities happening every weekend and evening and stuff. I'm going to highlight just a few. The next slide, please. So Lacey and her staff hosted this wonderful event that Lacey actually started here at Georgia Tech, and that's Sibs Day. It's when current students can invite their siblings to come and spend a day with us and learn about tech and spend some time with their sibling and to partake in all kinds of activities, eat in the dining hall, attend a sporting event. It's a very fun day, a very exciting day. And what we find is that both the student and the sibling really enjoy it. And, in fact, it actually gets some of the siblings to really consider Georgia Tech after spending that time with us and with their sibling. So next slide, please. The next one coming up is March 11th, and we do Grandparents' Day. And again, this is a program that Lacey and her staff really plan and stuff. Grandparents and Friends Day. Again, it's a day to bring grandparents to the campus to see where their grandchildren are attending, or friends to see where they're attending school, and to spend some time with them. I've been involved in this event in the past, and it's a really feel-good day. Everyone's really enjoying it and pleased that they're here. They can do campus tours. They have lunch in the dining hall. There's a baseball game, fun crafts, and so if there's a chance that you might be able to join us, we think that that's a great event for them too. And we do take lots of pictures and then post them on our websites and stuff, which I think families then are pleased to see it. So next slide, please. And then also, this is a very, very busy time for our admissions staff. And we are hosting Gold Carpet Days. These are days for admitted students to Georgia Tech, those that have been admitted already. We have different waves of admission. And for those that have been admitted, we had one Gold Carpet Day last Friday. Students and families are invited to campus to spend the day with us. They learn more about the campus, the culture. They learn about specific programs. They meet students. They meet faculty. I was on a panel with Lacey. We talk about different opportunities and stuff. And so the next event is March 27th. It's a great event, and I would say that the audience was mixed. There were some in the audience who are already committed to Georgia Tech, and they know definitely they're coming, and there are some that were still trying to decide. And this was just another piece of information that they wanted before they make their final decision and stuff. So, so that's a great event, and that's been going on for a number of years at Georgia Tech. Next slide, please. Spring celebration. So February, we celebrated Black History Month with all kinds of events. And in March, we have Women's History Month and our 25th anniversary of our Women's Resource Center. It's amazing that it's been 25 years now that we've had our Women's Resource Center here on campus. And there's going to be a whole set of activities that celebrate that and honor the women that have served as directors in that center and others that have been a part of the staff there and stuff. And then April is our student celebration, and we have different events that are hosted throughout that month. where we kind of acknowledge and thank our students for everything that they've been a part of and for all their hard work and stuff. So our Greek Life do Fraternal Excellence Awards ceremony. We have our Lavender graduation celebration, which is planned out of our LBGTQIA Resource Center. We do our Student Honors Celebration, which is hosted by our academic side of the Institute. Our Up with White and Gold is a leadership celebration, and we thank our student leaders, and that's hosted out of the Center for Student Engagement. And then our Women in Engineering host a Women in Engineering celebration. So it's an end of the semester, end of the academic year, where we acknowledge the wonderful work and you know, tremendous efforts of our students and stuff. Next slide, please. Right, well, that's what I had today. So I'm open to any questions or anything that you would like to talk about at this point. Just feel free to put something in the chat and I'll respond to it.
We don't have any questions yet, but feel free to type them in. One of the things I'm going to send myself live for just 1 second. So Grandparents and Friends Day is March 11th. We did have a little bit of a glitch with our registration system, so we've extended the deadline to register until later. So you can register hopefully tomorrow by noon. We're trying to get the system up. Just keep an eye on our website. And I am going to, again, send Dean Stein live. So if you have any questions, it's a great opportunity to check in with him if you have anything going on with your student or questions about getting ready for the summer, or perhaps your student is graduating, which is really exciting. Not seeing any questions today. All right. Well, that's unusual for us, but that's good because that means you're getting the information that you need, and in our office, as well as the Dean of Students office, is here. Should you have any questions for us, you can email us at parents@gatech.edu and we'll be able to answer your questions and get you to the person that does know the answer. So I'm going to send myself back live again since we don't have any other questions for Dean Stein. So our next two, thank you again for attending today. Our next two sessions are in March, and they will be, we got one on March 7th, which is supporting your students' mental health with our new, kind of our newly branded care mental resource center. And then our Women's Center has a webinar on March 14th, so which is the day before their celebration. So if you'll tune into those, the information will send out reminders for that in our parent news, which will be coming out soon. But thank you for tuning in. And, oh, we've got a question. Let's see what it is. Okay, here, got one question. Let's go ahead and get to that one. So the question is, how should we handle if my child doesn't have a job yet and they're getting ready to graduate? That's a great question.
So this is a student who's graduating?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, so how should you handle it? So I would say that, you know, recently I've sat with a number of students who are graduating this semester. And what I would say is that, you know, for some students, they are all over this, they're on top of it, they're applying to places, and, you know, they are, you know, doing everything they need to do, working with our Career Center and on their own to find a job. And then I have conversations with students that say, I can't manage this right now. I just need to get through this semester. I need to get through the courses that I'm in now. And I really don't want to put my energy here. And so what I would say is really, it depends on which of those are more indicative of your student. They don't have to have a job yet. I think what they have to do is have a sense of a plan. What is my plan? Okay, so My plan is to get through the semester, take a week to unwind and regroup, and then I'll go full steam ahead. What I'll say is that even after they graduate, they will always have access to our Career Center and our database in our Career Center for possibilities of employment. Okay, so they can always tap into that regardless of where they are. They don't have to be on campus, they can be anywhere and still do that. And that's what they should be remembering, and that's what you should remind them. They can always still have a conversation with one of our career counselors who can assist them. You know, if they need to get their resume in order, then, you know, we have great career counselors who help students all the time in terms of building that resume and stuff. So, you know, I just kind of ask what the plan is. I wouldn't take on too much stress that they don't have a job, you know, because I think that'll make it more difficult. But just, I wouldn't speak so much about the job. I'd speak about what is the plan. Okay. All right. The next question I see is, what is the expectation for a junior to have a job in their major? By junior year, students typically want to kind of try to find a position in the space or in the area that they want to work. Okay. It may not be obviously the exact